What's up? All right. That's right. Claude Opus 4.8 came out today. Who wants to see if we can vibe a game for this real quick? I do. Let's do it. So if you haven't noticed, this just came out. The big highlight, the big news is something called dynamic workflows, or ultra code is a way to trigger it as well. So what does that look like? Well, if I go and launch Claude, make sure you're on the latest Claude upgrade. You should see this. Opus 4.8 is here. If you change efforts, you have this new, oh, it's not there. It is not there. It's supposed to have ultra code here. Doesn't look like I have it. Let's see, maybe it's model. Model's on the default. High efforts, use this to max efforts. Interesting. Okay, what if I say workflow? Vercel workflow dev kit. I don't think that's it. So do I not have it? That's weird. Huh. Workflow. Available. Dynamic workflows are available today in research preview. Okay, so maybe I have to opt in. Ask Claude to create dynamic workflows, create a workflow, or switch to a new Claude code specific setting called ultra code. This is accessible through the effort menu, and it sets the effort to level X high. Yeah, I've definitely seen the UI for it. I don't have it for some reason. What? Oh, you know what? I need to check my stream to make sure I'm actually streaming audio this time. Can you hear me? A little quiet, but okay. I'm maxed on this thing too. Let's bring it closer. Is that better? Maybe my amp is not working or something. Anyways, yeah, so I should have this. Preview and Claude Code CLI, that's what I'm using. Dynamic workflows can consume substantial more tokens. I'm going to see if I say ultra code. No. Create a dynamic workflow. Oh, I'm not logged in. I wonder if that's why. That might have something to do with it. Oh, there we go. Okay, let's see if that worked. No. Let me try starting a new session. There it is. Okay, so log in, restart your session. You will get ultra code. Look at that animation. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So I'm going to actually turn that on. I don't actually need it right now. You know what? I'm going to turn it off. Okay, so what are we going to do with this session? So just so everyone can follow along at home, we're going to vibe a game. What do I mean by that? Well, I created a new GitHub. A new GitHub project here. It's completely empty. It's called VibePin. It's going to be a Duckpin bowling game. If you haven't seen, I've got all my games on randroid.dev. Well, I guess not all of them, but a lot of them are here. I probably just need to update the last couple I added. Maybe they're all here. But the one that I updated most recently is actually an oldie, and it sucked before, and I was embarrassed. Now it's good, and it's fun. This one, Hoops. And the reason I bring it up is because this is a little arcade game, very similar to what I want to create, but for bowling next. It's got this little tutorial even now. It's got an aim and a power. So if I get those two right, so a little more power, it should go in, and then it goes for reals. Not enough power. I usually play from my phone, and it's all swipes, and it's much better. But it's kind of crappy from mouse. I never realized. I wonder if keyboard controls would be better. Well, you can't really aim with keyboard though. But yeah, terrible. Yeah, play it from your phone. But yeah, it's got leaderboards, 3 different game modes, and a new store. So you get these tickets, and then you can buy new balls and backboards and courts. It's all free, of course, but you got to earn the tickets. So if you like this game, you've set a high score, let me know, and I'll put your face on a ball. So this is my nephew and niece. So if you want to play this, go to randroid.dev, and you can find it on there. But the reason I bring this up is because I recently went duckpin bowling, specifically the ones where it's on where they're on a string, and then the pins get sucked back up and placed back down at a place called Pins Mechanical. Been there a couple times. Or maybe it's Mechanical Pins. That'd make more sense, wouldn't it? But essentially, duckpin is, there's 2 aspects to it. One is the pins are shorter, squatter, ducks, I guess, I don't know. And the balls are one-handed, just like small, in your hand, palm of your hand type balls. And you get 3 frames. No, you get 10 frames, 3 shots per frame. At least at the place I went, this one. Let's see if they have a picture of the actual bowling. Duckpin bowling. We set them up, you knock them down. Duckpin is the cooler, edgier cousin of traditional bowling. So you can see how small the bowling balls are. They don't really show the pins in this picture, but maybe here. Anyways, yeah, there you go. So it looks like normal pins, but actually you can see it kind of barely behind the size, the I and the E. There's a string coming down attached to each pin, and after every ball it resets by pulling all the pins up, and then they get tangled up in each other, and then it just does some physics until it finally untangles itself, and then it detects, oh, you missed 2, and then it puts just 2 down. Anyways, it's a pretty cool mechanical system. I like seeing it. And I was like, this would be a fun game. Here you go. Here's the strings. It'd be kind of fun to see if we can get the physics of that in the game. But I looked it up, and I don't think the string attached, I don't know, string reset, I don't know what you call it exactly, pins is necessarily specific to duck pin bowling. I've only done these together, though. So I might not do the strings. I'm on the fence about doing the strings, but I basically want to make an arcade game like this, but for bowling. And I want to use Claude to do it, maybe one of these dynamic workflows. I also, one more thing I want to do is I want to use my vibe kit. So a vibe kit is a set of components for native, here it is, native reusable components and bootstrap for vibe coded web games, basically. And I extracted these from a handful of games that I've been making for the web with Claude the last who knows how many months now. And so I'm going to tell it to use this, but I'm going to go one step further. There's actually a skill that I made that I'm going to use to set up the project. So skills this is all on my GitHub, randroidsdojo. Skills look in here, there's something called Spiral, specifically Spiral HTML. I'm trying to use HTML instead of Markdown for documents, just to experiment. You can ignore that though, you can use the regular one, whatever. And this has 3 components to it. Spiral will, let's see if I have it in the README. If not, we can dive a bit more into it, but let's see, Spiral, here we go. Bootstrap and audit the structural discipline scaffold that lets autonomous PR loops run for weeks without losing context, terminating prematurely, or accumulating debt. So the workflows and goals was another thing that was announced for Claude not too long ago. We're all in the same vein of have agents just continually work on a project. But this particular method I'm using is just writing, it's persisting the current state of things, what you've worked on recently, what's changed, any follow-up issues that you might have to do, your backlog of tickets, features that you want to build. All of that gets written down into different HTML files. Could be Markdown if you use the Markdown version. But let's see if we can look at an example methodology. Oh, I wish I could view this. Can I view this as a web page? I have to download it. There's one downside to using HTML. Markdown actually looks pretty in GitHub. HTML does not render. Interesting. Here we go. Download is what I wanted. I hit the wrong one. This one. Open that up. Still ugly. Anyways, the agent does not remember the project remembers itself. Every kind of state lives in Git tracked files with rigid templates. The agent's job collapses to read the ledgers, pick the next slice, run the loop, update the ledgers. This is why behind every file the Spiral HTML skill writes. The methodology is identical to Spiral. The format is files HTML. Yeah. The shape. A loop returns to the same point. A spiral returns to the same artifacts but advanced. Every iteration grows. The build logs, evidence rows, progress receipts, and resolved questions. So every revisit finds the substrate richer than the last. Drawn as a diagram, it is not a circle, it is a spiral forward while circling. Most agents fail at multi-week projects because they hold context in their head. This methodology externalizes every kind of state into Git-tracked files with rigid templates that removes the rediscovery tax that kills long-running loops. 7 parts. There are 7, and they map to the canonical scaffold files. 11 full templates plus 3 rules, and the codecs are Claude shims. Yeah, it works with codecs as well. That's ChatGPT, OpenAI's kind of agentic coding harness like Claude Code. It's actually pretty good. It's better in some ways. Vision. So docs/GDD, game design doc, is a canonical spec. Each requirement in its own HTML file. Each file carries a status element and gains a data role, build log, subsection as work ships. Build logs grow with the code so the next slice can read what landed without rediscovering it. Anti-pattern monolith GDD. So I used to have just a single GDD doc. This is marking that as an anti-pattern. Instead, the file pushes coverage rows towards chapter granularity, which is flatline failure mode. So this is talking about one of my games I did, and it kind of failed. Did a lot of upfront design and kind of hands-off vibing of it. Didn't actually put my creativity and testing into it. Just kind of let it go. And it was before I codified Spiral, and so it made a GDD, but it was just one flat GDD file, and the game was terrible. So I had it actually review its mistakes, like kind of retro the project, and then when I built Spiral using that as a failure mode, I also use Vibracer as like a positive. It kind of figured out what to do and what not to do. Contract 3 always on docs that compound plus 3 path scoped rules. So the agents.md codifies rules in the markdown m-ban. The pre-slicing reading list of file canon pointing to the HTML ledgers. Stack constraints, commit message styles, the autonomous PR loop reference, secrets policy, testing expectation, motion overlay QA, pre-commit checklist, the contract stays markdown, so codex root down, walk picks it directly. Yeah, so this is the one that I left as markdown because codex and then Claude MD, which just points to the agents.md. The harnesses know how to read these files to get rules about how to operate in the code base. And so these are just some common things you would put in these rules here. So those are still there. They're not HTML. There's nothing fancy. Docs implementation plan. HTML codifies the 18-step loop. 18 steps. Read context. Branch. Implement. Test. Update ledgers. Do a PR, handle the review, wait for bot plus CI, bot in this case being CodeRabbit or some kind of code review bot on the PR itself. Merge it, pull main, do a smoke on prod, like a smoke test, close item, start the next. Is that 18? Doesn't feel like 18, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 13. So very interesting that it got to 18. Working agreement HTML. AI sucks at counting, let's be honest. Codifies process, branching name, commit hygiene, PR contents, the bot review settled wait gates, 60 seconds plus green CI, verification minimums, different for docs versus code, merge and deploy expedition, risk gates. So that's the contract of the loop. Plus 3 Claude code rules, I guess. Claude rules that load only when matching files are edited. Slice discipline markdown loads when editing source code. So it specifically has these filters, so only load up these rules, this context, when working in this directory on a file. App, lib, components, pages, scripts, tests. Enforces no drive-by refactors, no speculative abstractions, refactor in slice. Ledger append only.md loads when editing the 4 ledger files, enforces append only, never rewrites past entries. GDD build log MD loads when editing the GDD section files, enforces a build log entry on every shipped feature. The split between always-on docs like agents.mds, the plan, the agreement, and the path scoped rules is deliberate. Always-on guidance is universal. Every slice needs to know about the m-ban, which if you haven't seen that short or that stream I did where I codified that ban on m-dashes, go check that out. The autonomous loop. Path scoped guidance is specific. Only slices that touch ledgers need the append only rule. Only slices that touch the GDD need the build log rule. Loading them on demand saves context for the work slice is actually doing. Together they leave no slice time decision to ad hoc judgment. The agent does not negotiate the rules, it follows them. Slice. So what is a slice? The unit of work. 1 PR, 1 commit message size change, 1 log entry, bounded so the agent can finish before context drift. It's small enough that a botched slice is reverted in 1 click. So this is actually kind of important. I hear that the new 4.8 model is really bad with long context. It can use workflows and stuff and delegate to 100 agents to get things done over time. But someone posted an article at my job about how supposedly somebody measured it, third party, and said that over 200K out of the 100 million tokens, once you get over 200K, the model just gets really dumb, and Claude just gets really dumb. So if we can do one task at a time, keep it under 200K, and do the next task with a fresh context, perfect. The slice contract is also what enables compounding. Each slice shipping a feature also updates the build log coverage row progress entry. The next slice reads those updates and starts cheaper. Ledgers, externalize memory for append-only files. So we have the progress log, the open questions, the follow-ups, and the GDD coverage. So why do I have 4 of these things? Some of them are obviously GDD coverage, standalone, atomic row spec to code traceability, 1 row per requirement. Each row carries GDD reference, status, implementation refs, test refs, follow-up refs. But why do I have like open code questions and follow-ups and progress log? So progress log is what slice, what dates, elements newest on top, never deleted, each entry's fields, branch, change, verification assumptions, GDD coverage, follow-ups. Open questions gets this identifier q-nnn, some number. Data status is either open or resolved. Entries with options: recommended, default, mandatory. Status resolution: the default lets the loop ship without blocking on dev sign off. Whereas follow-ups, these are entries with priority. So blocks or release, nice to have or polish, blocker condition, unblock condition. So these are cleanups. These are like, hey, we want to merge this slice, but we recognize that there's some scope creep we could do to make it even better, but we want to be a little more strict here and do it in the next one. I'm a big fan of the Boy Scout rule. If you see something, make it better than you found it, but I think it's also good for one habit I've seen when I use like Claude to review a bunch of like features and stuff is that the PR just keeps growing and you keep adding more and more because you're like, oh, well, I could rename this, or I could add this comment, I could add a test here, I could clean this part up, oh, maybe if I redid this part of the logic. And you just like you spend a lot of time churning on features, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but also it's kind of nice to just codify in your practice in the spiral that you want it to work, you want it to be good enough, you want to know how it could be better, you want to track that, and then you want to go back, you want to check it in and go get to a stable state, and then go, given all the work I could be doing, like opportunity cost here, do I want to go do the nice to haves from that last one? I can go clean it up right now. Or is there actually another feature that's like way more important to get done right now? And people on a regular team without agentic coding, that tech deck's going to keep stacking. You're never going to prioritize it. But with agents and endless time, it's all, they live in their own world. It's a simulation. They could run 100 agents and do 100 things at once, theoretically, right? They run at a faster speed than humans. They can do tech debt and follow-ups and, I don't know. That's kind of the difference between human coding and agent coding. Append only is a load-bearing convention. A future slice cannot trust ledgers that retroactively edited. Yeah, that's just to keep it clean. And it's not a blockchain, but it could technically edit it. But and sometimes I do. And I do think there's a world where it's the second brain mentality where you're going to want to decay older information, or less important information gets lower weights in your brain, whatever. There might be a case where a project goes on for 2 years and all these docs are just like miles long, and you don't want to have to read the full thing or like understand the full history. You just want to know the last 30 days or whatever. Maybe we would cut that or archive it or something. But I haven't had that problem yet. What blocks merge? 2 kinds. Mechanical, the CI green, type check, test, no m-bot reviews, settled weight. These are checked by tools. The more I can check by tools, automatically the better. Qualitative, docs, playtest.html is a release checklist. Docs, fun factor audit, gap audit. So this is something I added again as like a try to avoid building a game that just sucks, that's boring, that's doesn't really have any creativity. And this doesn't necessarily solve it, but that was like the idea of trying to do that. And we'll see how well it works or not. These are the second gate that reopens the loop after systems land. Coverage rows say a system exists. The qualitative gate asks whether the system delivers experience. So it's good to have these 2 checks, because often Claude will say, I did it, I built the thing, it's done. That, if I'm just using dots to whatever to track my tasks, Jira, whatever issues, GitHub issues, I close them out and I go, I technically did the thing, because it's going to want to close stuff as soon as it can. It's just the nature of it. It wants to be rewarded. It won't go back to it, right? But if you say, oh, I closed it, it works, but actually I did a check and it's not fun, okay, let's do a follow-up, So this check is to prevent us merging broken stuff. This check is to get us to follow up to improve the quality. Without the qualitative gate, the loop terminates the moment every coverage row is done. Exactly. Even if the product is not actually good. This is the flatline failure mode. Mention that again. Selection rule, what to work on next, priority order. So broken, if main is broken, if there's a red CI, broken deploy, fix that immediately. Any P0 or P1 backlog items, those are high priority. Open questions with enough info to resolve under their recommended default. So by this being higher priority than doing something brand new off, that's less, I mean, P0, P1 is going to beat any cleanups, but if there's like a P2, it's going to try to handle questions, right? Because you want to keep bringing, refining your requirements as you go. You don't want them to get stale as you develop. You want to keep maintaining that, but then also high priority follow-ups. So this is done before any P2s or P3s. So it will get to follow-ups before doing some of the less priority items. Coverage gaps marked not started or partial. GTD requirements with user visible scope still partial. Qualitative gate items once coverage is greater than 80% done. And cleanup that removes blockers. Plus the constraint. Prefer the smallest slice that creates a useful PR. Avoid mixing unrelated work. The loop. Continuous operation, read context, pick slice, branch, implement, test, update ledgers, PR, handle, review, wait for bot. I feel like I already read this. Smoke prod, I did, definitely. Never voluntarily idle, executed by randroid loop. So there are other skills used by this spiral skill. One is the loop skill. It's the Ralph loop. It's my version of it. It's the randroid loop. There's also something called dots, which I referred to before. That's the actual task tracking and prioritizing tool. It's a very simple command line. I made a fork of it and I made an HTML version instead of Markdown, but yeah, it's called dots. You can see that in my repo as well. The compounding effect. Each slice that ships also pays the doc update tax that makes the next slice cheaper. When the next slice starts, it reads the build logs, coverage refs, progress receipts, and resolved questions, all of which are richer than they were one slice ago. That is what makes hundreds of slices in a few weeks trackable. The fastest part of the loop is the part that has been done many times. Each pass through the spiral makes the next pass faster. Why convention beats configuration. Agents.md rule 3 nails down the stack. Framework, 3D, physics, audio, storage, validation, test. There is no per slice. Should we add a library debate, which is the single biggest time sink in most projects. The m-ban is the canary for the same principle. A rule trivial in isolation is useful as a tripwire. An agent that ships an m- is an agent that did not run its own pre-commit checklist. The rule doubles as a discipline test. That's how I can justify having such a pedantic thing in there. The closure rule. The loop ends when all three conditions hold. Every coverage row is done with implementation and test refs. Every play test.html checklist item is checked or explicitly deferred. Fun factor, audit HTML has been rerun after the last system landed and produced no new P0, P1 gaps. Closing the loop without all three is the flatline failure yet again. A complete on-paper system that is not actually good. The spiral audit script catches a missing qualitative gate, so this failure is impossible by construction. Why one agent can sustain this. Externalize every kind of state, externalize every kind of decision, bound the unit of work, make doc updates a checked merge gate, define closure mechanically. Then the agent's job is not build the project, it is do the next slice and update the ledgers. That collapse is what makes weeks-long autonomous loops work. Small agent, big paper trail, the agent rotates the spiral advances. All right, I never actually read that. This was vibed, and you can tell, obviously, but I instructed it. I told it the qualities that I wanted, why, the overall principle, and it tried to codify that in fancier words than I gave it, I'm sure. And some of it is hype, some of it probably doesn't do what I hoped it did, and so I will continue to refine this. But that is the spiral method, spiral skill. So let's see if we can use it. So I'm not going to actually start with the game design doc. I am going to start with the spiral-init command, and it's going to hopefully ask me some questions about the project, and it'll incrementally build out the game design doc over time. Let's see if it works. Let's see. No promises, right? So I am not in the new ultra code. I am just in regular high effort. I'm not going to switch to plan. I'm going to use spiral-HTML. And then it's going to say, I don't see a GDD. Do you want an init? So again, reminder, we are building a bowling game, Duckpin Bowling. It's going to be kind of 3D physics based, like my basketball game that you see here. So that's kind of the vibe we're going for. Probably more fun on phone. Bowling will be more fun on phone, just like the basketball one. You just swipe up, you know. What stack should VibPin's a 3D Duckpin bowling game be built on? This gets baked into agents.md, the dependency ledger, and the deploy gates. All right, Three.js, Rapier, Vite plus Vercel, or React 3-fiber, Rapier, Next.js, Godot 4. So I don't want Godot 4, but I think I've used both of these stacks before. I don't actually remember what Rapier is. Oh, it says right here, physics. It's WASM. Oh, okay, 3J. Oh, see, I definitely want 3JS. But I've done React and Next.js for like games that have a lot of menus, systems in them. But honestly, those have been some of my worst games. So I'm gonna go with just 3JS, no React, and see what that looks like. This is the new Claude Opus 4.8. All right, scaffold written. Oh, sorry, hiccups. Jeez. All right, VibPins now has the full HTML for spiral scaffold. Audit passes clean. What was written? Agents.md, contract markdown, codex root down walk. Claude MD points to HMD. Docs, implementation plan, working agreement, GDD index, GDD coverage, progress log, open question, follow-ups, dependency legend, playtest, fun factor, audit agents, symlink, GDD agents, symlink, Claude rules, slice discipline, ledger append only, GDD build. All that came from that one command, one sentence, and one answer that I gave Claude when it asked a question. Baked in, pitch, a Duckpin bowling game, stack 3JS, Rapier, deployed Vercel, placeholders, resolved. Two things still hold template stubs by design. They're yours to author. The index has no real sections, and vision and pillars doesn't exist. GDD coverage holds two examples, rows, not real atomic requirements. The files are untracked, nothing committed yet. You didn't ask me to. Next steps to start the spiral. Draft the first GDD section, vision pillars, and the core Duckpin loop. 10 frames, 3 balls. I didn't even tell it this, but it already knows what Duckpin bowling is. Smaller ball, no finger holes, the Duckpin scoring quirks. Yep. Replace the example coverage rows with real atomic requirements pointing at GDD anchors. Start the loop. Want me to draft the vision? Yes, draft it, but use research first to gather real world data on what makes on the look and feel of Duckpin bowling that uses the string reset mechanics. Check out pin. We already forgot the name of the place. Was it mechanical pin? It was mechanical pins. Yeah, pins mechanical. See, that's why I can never remember. This says pins mechanical. This says, yeah, pins mechanical. It's backwards of what I think it would be. Check out pins mechanical company website. All right. I want to ground this in like real. So like if I were to make a GDD, I'm manually I might go like, hey, let me just like a vision board, you know, like let me go take some screenshots. We looked at this earlier on stream, but you know, let me go take some screenshots of this vibe, just like show what it looks like, you know, get a feel for it. I want it to really like have this vibe. And maybe some of this text will start to fill in like some of the actual mechanics of how the game works. About some house rules, no untangling of strings, no lobbing or overhand throwing the ball, no improper throwing the ball backwards between the legs, 2 balls at once. I definitely almost did this as a joke. Only roll when the light is green. So like, I don't have to tell it about this light is green thing, because it might see in the picture and figure it out. Like, oh, when it's resetting, it's red and it's green. You know, like I wanted to go do some research. So let's see how that does. All right, so I went to Wikipedia. Did I actually go to the company I said to go to? Pins bar, duckpin bowling, flying bowling. Oh, this explains how a string pin setter works. That's cool. See, like, so maybe we'll use those mechanics in the design. This is what I was talking about, but that's not duck bowling, by the way. I watched a YouTube short or something that was explaining that the old school bowling resetters, you know, where it knocks everything to the gutter and then they kind of get pulled up on a conveyor belt and then fed back in or whatever. And that whole mechanic system is like really, really expensive to maintain, and they don't have the parts for it anymore, and no one really makes them. And so a lot of companies are having to switch over to this string-based setter, and it changes the game. Like the pins react differently. Like I haven't played with full-size pin, but I bet you it does. Definitely with the duck pins one, because you know they'll swing and they might come back and hit something, but they also, because they're on a leash or whatever, they might not fly in the direction they would if they were free pins, you know. So it changes the mechanics, but if you grew up only playing this, I think it would, you know, you wouldn't even notice or care, right? Yeah, free falls the other way. The free fall pin setter achieves the same end result, 10 pins in a triangle, ready for the next frame, through an entirely different process. Yeah, so maybe this kind of data, I doubt it, but you know, like maybe these technical details and measurements will actually help design our game. We'll see. We'll look at the design once it's done here. Oh, I forgot to tell to look at hoops. I also want you to take inspiration from the arcade basketball game I made here. Hoops. Where it makes sense. So maybe you'll add like the store or something and put your face on a bowling pin. If you didn't see that earlier, my latest feature on this game was to add a store. You get tickets as you play, and then you can get a different bowling ball with someone's face on it. I always add these to my games. You can put feedback, and it will create an actual ticket in GitHub. All right, so far we don't know if 4.8 is any better or worse. We're at 7% context out of the million. We don't want to get to what 20% is when it's supposedly dumber. Hoops is a rich source. Let me check VibeKit's exports in the leaderboard API pattern so I document reuse accurately, plus the arcade modes file. Hoops is a Three.js Canon S neon arcade game with procedural web audio, swipe input, particle juice. That's a weird way to say particle effects, unless particle juice is actually a framework. Vercel ups leaderboard and vibe kit. Let me read its GDD and a few key modules to extract reusable patterns. All right, now I'll fold hoops in. First, concrete neon palette, reuse note into look and feel. Yeah, sure, we'll make it neon. How about this actually? Make it less neon and more, what do you call, like Mad Max mechanical or mechanical machine robotic not electrical but like wiring, Rube Goldberg totally misspelled that. So you can see I'm just curating, directing here. I'm giving it, go get inspiration from this and that, because I've already done the engineering of setting up the framework. I know I want to have an upfront design, game design doc. I know how I talk about the pitfalls of waterfall and stuff on large teams and big products and stuff. But I do believe it's nice to spec out your initial vision, especially when you can do it in an hour like I'm doing here, and it's a living document and you actually build it into into Spiral, into the system that you're going to update it. I'm okay with it. That's not the problem I have with upfront design. The problem I have with upfront design is that you treat it as if it's final, and you expect people to read in, sign off, and go through all this approvals, and just like a bunch of like just slowing down actual delivery. This is just a one-man team. I'm just vibing this right now, so I can do this, like I said, in an hour, and it doesn't harm anyone, and it actually lets me start thinking about what I want it to look like, and making certain decisions about, no, I don't want it to be neon, or oh, I do want it to have the string resetting, just making a bunch of small decisions, and they're not final. I can always change them, but this is the nature of the work now. It's at this higher level of abstraction. Now revise the arcade flare section so the escalation and celebrations are mechanical, not neon. Yeah. Structurally adapted from hoops 4-step streak ladder, but expressed as machine building pressure rather than catching fire, because strikes are rare in Duckpin. They are. The meter builds on good frames. Less arcadey. I want us to focus on a single game mode that is a real 10 frame, 3 balls per frame game round of bowling. The question is, how do we make this something you want to keep coming back to, or show your friends, or like, how do we make it more social? Does it have a leaderboard? Leaderboard doesn't quite make sense. Maybe you want to set high scores. We can still have a global leaderboard. What would be really fun is an async multiplayer where I take a turn and then my friend uses his phone to take his turn. We could play over the course of a day whenever we had time to stop and bowl a frame. Yeah, so maybe we make it more. I've done the multiplayer thing on one other game before. I've showed this on stream, I think. It was my first ever Doom coded, vibe coded kind of like early game. But I never went back to it, but it was called BlockYou. It's a play on Block Us inspired strategy game, and you can join. Like I could host a game right now. You could join, like Among Us style join. Just jump in, whatever, with a code. But the game itself, you can play with local, whatever. Here's a code. I can start, the game. You gotta pick one of these pieces, and you always have to start from your corner. So I would just start here, confirm my, start here, confirm my piece. Then the next player would go or whatever. But it never was like I never got anyone to really play a full game with me. I think async games are hard when you don't have a large player population where there's always someone who's willing to play you. But I also do think that lends itself well to bowling. Not that you can't play your own round, but you kind of are motivated by like, oh, you just scored a strike, so now I have to score a strike, We'll see. That's my vision for the fun. I do have reservations about like how fun that will actually be. I think I actually had fun with bowling games as a kid on the SNES. There was this bowling game, and I would play it. I distinctly remember getting up early and going and playing for hours by myself until I got a perfect game, 300 in SNES Bowling. I don't even know what it's called. Super Bowling. I just remember the sound in this was so awesome.
Right, let's dig into every Super Nintendo bowling game, and there's only two as far as I can tell: Super Bowling and Brunswick World Tournament of Champions. There might be.
I don't even know what this one is.
Bowling game out there that I wasn't able to find.
But yeah, the other one they were showing is the one that I played. And I just basically figured out if you line up, so it's not this one, but it's the same kind of idea. If you line up, with this one. If you line up with these arrows and you're like right-handed, because you could do left-handed or right-handed, and then you like gave it a certain power and angle or something, and you just try to like hit right here, I could get a strike every time. But then I would like I'd be slightly off, like like here, and then I would by the way, this is exactly what we probably need in the game. I just realized. This is awesome. Yeah, this is what we want. Oops. And then this is the power. I was trying to get it with full power. Oops. Like there. Yeah, and you could pick your own characters. It's a guy, girl, different skin colors, hair color. I don't know. Yeah, this little guy would comment on your shots and stuff, and I don't know. It just had the right vibe. It was a bit more arcadey, I guess. I want the I want the controls to be like SNES Super Bowling, where you line up your shots, then stop a meter. What was the first one called? This is power. What was the other one? Left, right. Stop the meter for the left/right spin, angle, spin, or maybe angle. Then finally stop the meter to set the power. And it's gonna be like, what do you mean the meter? And I'm just gonna give the screenshots. And I don't know how well that would translate to touchscreen, but I've been wanting to do a bowling game for a long time, and that was just always in my head. Like that was how I enjoyed playing bowling in a video game, was those kind of controls. And there's some of that in hoops. I ended up completely changing it to be more like, I kind of just had it as like just fling it, you know. But then I was like, I need to figure out this, you know, the power meter. I had the power meter at first, but I didn't quite understand like the, you know, the perfect range thing. I didn't quite get. And then like the last thing I actually figured out was like the aiming. So the way it works is you can shoot above, and then if you do less power, it might go in. You get what I'm saying? Like if I go high but a little less, see, that went in even though it wasn't perfect. But you could also go low and more power, and that might go in. So less, more, more power. See, almost went in, right? But of course, you could also just get really good at your timing of like swipe and release, swipe and release, swipe and release. And on phone, it's a little more obvious. It's funny because my nephew actually destroyed my high score when I told him about to go play it. And then I was like, do you have any feedback so I can make the game, you know, better? And he goes, something about, like I forgot, but he explained that he didn't understand. He just was swiping going off of feel, and he just like destroyed my score. He didn't realize that you could actually like drag and aim. Anyway, so I added this tutorial for him. So if you're watching, Miguel, this tutorial's for you. Swipe from the ball toward the hoop, aim until the line turns green. So green. Alright, release when the meter hits perfect. The green band is your timing window. Center is best. So that's like perfect, should go in, and it doesn't because there's technically a range here. That's green, but that's also green. You know what I mean? So if I go top of green and I go, I don't know, just above perfect, I miss. So it's still not perfect, but so it is still based on feel. That's what I like about it, is like it's not guaranteed. You can, like if you're really good, like really finicky, you could probably like have the exact spot. Like I always put it here and I always get the power. See, I can't even do it. But most people on their phone are just gonna be like swipe, 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 and I'm not doing it very well because I would have to swipe just for a second longer. It's definitely not as fun on like, I don't want, a little addicting, but not as addicting as on your phone. I just play like round after round after round. It's like so much more fun to swipe. Actually, it makes me wonder if I could maybe do like because I'm on Mac, I could do like a 2-finger swipe instead of a click and drag. That might work. I don't know. Is this thing done? No. Oops. Using my whisper. Stop, whisper, stop. Undo. Is this thing done? Oh, oops. All right. I want to start looking at these files. So here's the diff. This is a markdown file. Why are you a markdown file? Oh, because it's Claude rules. Okay, those can be marked down. This can be marked down. This can be marked down. Those are, okay. Now we get into the HTML follow-ups. I want to get to the GDD. Okay, so here's the vision pillars, but if I find the actual root GDD, we'll have the index. It's all split out. So here we go. Here's the index. So if I just open the file, open in. I don't know why I keep expecting this to be prettier. I mean, it's HTML, but it's basically marked down. It might as well be marked down. It's not using anything fancy. Where's the links? How could this be the index and then it doesn't link? How to use this directory? Each docs HTML files, one requirement, one tightly coupled conventions, one requirement. Yeah, why are these not links? Maybe it just hasn't actually done the links yet. There we go. Alright, here's the vision. Async multiplayer. Okay, so now it's got some links. Core loop. Kind of missing drawings like that. One thing I like to do sometimes is use the Claude desktop app and have it actually do like mock-ups and stuff. What the system does not do: no sweep bar or pin sweep animation. Fallen pins are lifted, never wiped. No free fall gravity only pin setter machine. See, it got that from the website, I'm telling you. Pin accounting. After each ball within a frame, count the pins that fell on that ball, lift those pins out via the string reset, leave the standing pins exactly where they are, respot in place. Yeah, so it's just, oh, here we go. Build log, section drafted, no code yet, rules sourced from National Duckpin Bowling Congress Conventions and Pins Mechanical Company House Play. 3 balls, candle pin style, flat 10, 300 ceiling, never officially reached. What? 300 ceiling never officially reached? Why? Why can't you reach 300? What does this mean? Oops. 300. It refers to the perfect game score in bowling and the fact that in Duckpin specifically nobody has ever bowled one in sanctioned play. So it is that much harder, guys. The mechanics of perfect game is 300 points, 12 strikes in a row, a strike in each of the 10 frames, plus the 2 bonus balls. The 10th frame strike earns 300 as a mechanical ceiling. The same in 10-pin Duckpin. In 10-pin perfect 300s are relatively common. Duckpin at 300 is never officially recorded under sanctioned conditions in the sport's 100-year history. Holy crap. The small palm ball and squat heavy pins transfer so little energy that getting all 10 down on one ball a strike is rare, and stringing 12 together has never happened in competition. The all-time record is 279, set by Pete Signor Jr. in 1992. Then GD gets a design constraint, not trivia. It backs pillar 1, authentic Duckpin, not reskin 10-pin. The note is O2 core loop. Says 5 pins doesn't artificially cap the score below 300, but the pin physically should be tuned so that real strikes stay generally rare. Hell yeah. And then I'm going to go back because I don't need that in the context. So just go back through history, and now we're back where it was before. I could have also done a by the way, by /BTWs, and it will let you do a side question like, how old is 10-pin versus Duckpin? And this will not be in the context, and you can do this while it's currently working in the main thread. So I don't use this as much as I honestly should. But you do lose it. Like, the thing is, once I hit escape, it's gone, and I don't think there's any history of it. So it's kind of dumb. That's kind of dumb, annoying, but it is what it is. 10-pin is the older of the two. 10-pin is a recognizable American game, dates roughly to the mid-1800s, commonly placed around the 1840s. Evolving from older 9-pin bowling, its modern standardization came with the founding of the American Bowling Congress in 1895. Pin bowling itself, of course, has roots going back centuries before that. Duckpin is much younger, originating around 1900, traditionally attributed to Baltimore, though that exact origin story is partly legend. Its governing body, the National Duckpin Bowling Congress, formed in 1927, a detail that came up in the research of this project. So Duckpin roughly 50 to 60 years younger than 10-pin. Duckpin emerging from the turn. One was 9-pin. Now I'm all curious. Anyways, See, now it's gone. It's not in the context, and if I try to go back, it's not there either. All right, it's got questions for me. How your 4 steers were applied. Steers is just like as it was doing stuff. I was like, no, actually, I want it to be like, I don't want neon, you know? That's what it meant. So all 4 directives landed in the GDD is internally consistent. Audit clean, valid JSON, no broken links, no M dashes, here's, or maybe that's what it means by steers. Is internally consistent. I don't know. Here's where VibePin stands. What the GDD now says. Vision, 1 authentic mode, real 10 frame, 3 balls per frame Duckpin. Playable solo against a global leaderboard or an async match with friends. 5 pillars, authentic Duckpin. The string is the star. Mechanical theater, pick up and play. Bowl on your own time. So that's how it split those things out. Controls out of scope. No real-time multiplayer, no accounts, no arcade modes, no chat. Yeah, that's fine. How your 4 steers were applied. Yes, these, let's see. First, real Duckpin specs. 4 3/4 to 5 inch holeless ball. Squat 9.4 inch pins. 3 balls. Flat 10 rule, 279 record, and real string pin setter mechanics, neck-tied cords. Scoreboard. So 3 string pin setter, the signature system, tethers, free fall, slack tension detection, sweepless, reset, respot, tangles, hangs, yanks. That's the fun thing. Look and feel, mechanical, Rube Goldberg aesthetic, brass, steel, oiled wood, exposed rig, electromechanical, scoreboard, procedural audio. Async multiplayer, the headline frame by frame turns, link handoff, lightweight identity, server authoritative state, reuse and stack, the Rapier decision, serverless backend, what to reuse from hoops plus FibeKit, leaderboard global plus daily boards, fed by solo and multiplayer games, controls, SNES Super Bowling 3-step scheme, lineup, stop spin angle meter, stop power meter, out of scope. All right. How your 4 steers were applied. Research first, real Duckpin spec, hoop inspiration, reused where it fits, world 3D court scene pattern, procedural audio engine, particle system, the Upstash serverless leaderboard backend, app shell, scaffold, screens, HUD settings tutorial, and VibeKit. The neon palette borrow was dropped in the aesthetic pivot. Mechanical pivot, neon fire replaced by machinery, gauges, steam sparks, and Rube Goldberg strike celebration. Arcade heat streak layer was removed entirely. Single mode leaderboard async MP arcade flare section deleted and replaced by async multiplayer leaderboard moved into V1 scope. SNES controls dedicated section 8 swipe scheme retired. I might want to add swipe back for phone. I might. I'll come back to it though. Ledgers updated. TDD coverage, JSON. 64 atomic requirements, all mapped to live section anchors. Good seed will grow towards 100 plus guardrail. Open questions, it resolved 3 of these. There's 2 open. So Rapier versus Canon S. I don't know the difference, benefits. VibeKit dependency, turn gradularity, seed auth, notification, players per match. So one thing I would like to do is have it ask me each question and give me its opinion on, what the right solution that it recommends is, and then I will tell it the final, like it'll tell me the pros and cons, and I'll make the decision. How your search replied, ledgers updated, nothing is committed, you haven't asked. When you're ready, next step. Let's go through the open questions. Tell me the pros and cons of different possible answers, and I will choose the best. Remind me to tell it to fix the index I don't know if I need to change spiral to make this part of the process, but it really should have links in the index. I don't understand why it doesn't. For refresh, it's, yeah. I guess it does have the right stuff here now. Yeah, these are real. They're just not links. Like, why wouldn't you make these links? All right, good idea. Locking these down now. We'll keep the loop. Okay, so here we go. So it's got this little question asker here. Physics engine. Which physics engine should vibe pins use? The WASM Rapier recommended best rope joint constraints for the string pin setter. Our core system. Deterministic modern. Downsides. Async WASM init. Diverges from hoops canon S helpers. Canon S matches hoops for maximum reuse. Pure.js. I'm okay with WASM. I don't need Pure.js. I actually always thought the Pure.js hoops was like a downside, but then I did end up vibing a lot of features with little problems, even though it's just Pure.js, no types. But I don't know. I'm a type guy. I like my types. As far as WASM goes, though, it's a little heavier, right? That's like allows you to use more native. If I know anything about WASM, I'll say tell me more about WASM. So I want to actually check that. How should vibe pins consume vibekit? Tag pin dependency. GitHub tag pin like hoops. Auto inherits workspace. Fixes ledger gate manage pre 1.0 risk. Downside, a bump can break callers. Need our build step. Copy paste modules. Copy the 2-3 modules we need into the repo. Nah, I want to use it. What is the unit of a turn before handoff? A frame? Bowl your whole frame, then handoff. Matches real bowling. Short turns. Fits the pitch. 20 handoffs per 2-player game. Yes. How should handoff links authorize a seat per seat secret token? Link claims a seat bound to a device token. Only that token can submit for a no accounts. Stops grief. Slightly more logic. Match ID only. Anyone with a link can bowl. Let's do per seat. It means if you try to play on one device and then play on the other, it won't work. But I don't have enough users in any of these games for that to matter. And when I do, if I do, the solution will be to create actual logins. All right, debustify WASM. All right, the main cost side of the Rapier choice. WebAssembly is a compiled binary format browsers run at near native speed. Rapier is written in Rust and shipped as a WASM binary inside the DimForge Rapier 3D Combat NPM package. Canon S, by contrast, is plain JavaScript. Async init, the one real wrinkle before you can create the physics world, the browser has to load and instantiate that WASM file. Okay, so that's what I suspected. In practice, that's a single awaits Rapier init or a dynamic import at startup, a few hundred milliseconds hidden behind the loading screen. It is not per frame and not something you touch again. The -compat variant exists specifically to make this painless with bundlers like Vite, so there's essentially no build config to fight. Why it's worth it for the vibe pin specifically: string pins that are Rapier's first class rope string, distance joins, server-side score validation, async MP leaderboard, Rapier's deterministic, same inputs, same outputs, which makes this submitted pin count physically possible, far more tractable. Performance headroom, WASM physics runs faster than Pure.js. Neither will struggle. Okay. Genuine downside, one extra way. You can't step through physics internals as JS debugging. I'm okay with that. It diverges from hoops. That's fine. Basic. Okay. Yeah, let's go with WASM. Let's try it by the way. By the way, have I used WASM in any other ... projects? That's just my my dev directory. I could also tell to go look at my GitHub, but I'm just curious. Based on what's visible in this conversation context, I can only speak to the one sibling. Oh, so by the way is limited to what paths it can look at. It's F to fork. So I could fork it. X to clear history. What's the difference? with that and escape. I'm going to do escape. Oh, so did it actually put it in history? Interesting. I'm not sure. Where do we go? Start forgiving tight via play test. I don't know where we. Hold on. Okay, hit escape again. Continue. I think I missed this question because I was in the by the way, or I hit escape or something. I don't know. Watch the replay. What did I do wrong? No, I didn't say use the defaults. I mean, ask me again. How should the next player learn it's their turn in view 1? Native share copy, the handoff link, plus a local your matches list, no permissions or providers. Unblocks v1, richer push email nudges become a tracked follow-up. Yeah, I would want like a push notification if you're playing on your phone if we could. Web push in view 1, automatic your turn notification via service worker, modern, but permission friction, iOS needs installed PWA, and more infra deliverability complex. Email assessment view 1, reliable cross-device nudge with no install, but needs a contact field, a paid provider. Yeah, not that. Can we make web push optional? And fall back to the user manually loading the game to check their matches. How many players per match in V1? 2 model generalized to N covers me and my friend with the simplest correct turn cycle. Yeah, let's start with 2. How should the spin power meters be tuned at the start? Start forgiving, tighten via playtest. Slower sweep, wider sweet spot, so first time and phone players succeed pillar 4. Tighten against the playtest gate, may feel slightly easy until tuned. Start punishing, loosen later. Difficulty scaled, speeds up. Built-in tension curve and skill expression. But extra tuning can feel unfair in async MP. I kind of want to like set, I almost want like a difficulty, but then you'd have to like do different, you'd have to do like different leaderboards for different difficulties. Let's just start with skill ceiling visible early, but scares off new players and makes a poor first impression. But if it's too easy, isn't that something they'll just like immediately give up on too? But I guess it's not, it's always going to have some, I guess you could say hoops is easy, but it still doesn't mean I can get a perfect shot every time, right? Like I wouldn't call this hard. Like that wasn't hard, but I'm not going to get it every time. Right? So maybe that's fine. Yeah, let's start with that. We'll see. I want you guys to play and give me your feedback. Welcome, new viewers. What's up? By the way, you guys, since you're watching Randroid, you are bots, you're chat bots, you are clankers. That's what I'm going to call you guys. I'm going to call you clankers. My viewers are clankers. Did I ever see, that's one game that's not on the website. I did actually make a game called Clankers recently, but I was testing out something completely different. A completely different way of building. It was a spec-driven one-shot kind of deal. So the game's not good. But I do want to come back to it because I love the name Clankers for a video game. But also I want to come back to the concept as well. It's a card battler. So think Pokemon, Magic the Gathering. It's super boring. It's super Claude UI. But yeah, so let's see. I've got these cards, Plasma Vanguard, 3 Fire for, I don't know what that means. I'm guessing that's how much power it does, or damage it does. And 4 int, I'm guessing is, I don't even know how much. So we got power, integrity, standby, reserves, wreckage. Now we have these yellows, 3, 2, 2, 1. So if I choose 3, something should go down, right? How do I choose it? I must not have enough to choose it. Do I click this? Do I have to drag? What the heck? I did this on my phone. Maybe it only works with touch. That sucks. Let's see, end turn. It looks like I can't actually. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I have enough for this because one fire, one power. See, 1 of 1 maybe. So I had 0 power on the last turn, I guess. I don't know. Then I EMP burst, 1 pulse, 2 seconds of silence, enough protocol. This is everything that happened. The battle log, attack, and then it should have taken, yeah, CPU power. Oh, I have 2 power. Interesting. Okay, so it took their integrity. So integrity is their health. End turn. This is still there. So standby. Did he hit me for anything? Doesn't look like it. What if I try to switch? So I can switch that, and then where the other guy get discarded, or he came back here? I think he got discarded. What if I undo that? Can't undo that. Attack. I don't even know what that did. He's still 19. Hits command post harder. It was built to. I don't know, guy. I don't know. Anyways, this was a completely one-shotted spec thing. I'll talk about it in another stream. I don't want to talk about it right now, but yes, you are Clankers. The more viewers I get, the more bots I get, right? Okay, 2 stale open question phrasings to update, both now resolved. The remaining data status open count is just the how to add template example, which is correct. Let me fix the 2 references. All 7 open questions are now resolved. Great. Ledger updates, async multiplayer, reuse. Cool. The other thing I want to tell it to is actually add links to the index.html. And then we'll commit this, and then we'll start the spiral development. And we're at 20%. So remember I said Opus 4.8 starts to suck at 200,000. Well, we're at 200,000 tokens in this context window. So perfect time to commit and start a fresh context window. Take it with a grain of salt, but this is something I heard, and I'm a fan of keeping the context window low where I can. Don't get me wrong, I've definitely had my 99%, 100% context loops before. All right, commit and push everything. Question is it going to make me do a PR? I think you can overwrite it. We're not technically following the spiral patterns yet. This was like the init. This is initializing the project. And it took a lot longer because I was reading in and exploring and whatnot. You could, I think I do recommend that, especially on a stream. Like I want to show you guys a bit more of this, talk about it, think about it. You could just let this thing self-run. But like I said, I've done that with half a dozen games and they end up pretty poorly. So the best game that I have is the one that I built on stream. Vibed it. It was I'm getting tired here, but the game jam is like a game jam, So I consider this kind of like a game jam. Let's see though. I am leaning heavily on this spiral framework and whatnot. Maybe it'll be shit. I'm asking a lot of it, There's some decent logic in here, and then the mechanics of the pin physics and stuff it's probably going to be a disaster, honestly. But let's see. Maybe Opus 4.8 will surprise us. Okay, so I did open a PR. That's fine. That's fine. So when I'm on my phone, I use Claude.ai/code or whatever, so I do have to use PRs. I don't have Vercel set up yet. I'm going to merge this one and then I'll set up Vercel. But I don't want to merge. I want to squash and merge, so make sure to do that. Yeah, there's other things I need to set up because this is a new repo. I will do that maybe off stream, or I could show you guys if you want, but essentially I usually will do this. Let me do this. Add a branch rule set called auto review and enable it now. The only people to bypass it are the admins, not Claude. Yeah. And then, or actually, do I want Claude? No. Target branches will be the default branch, which is main. Anyone can create a branch. Required code scanning. So you get code QL. I don't know, maybe it's because I pay for Pro or whatever, but I like to get warning. I want it to fix everything, including warnings. Then there's this other one that's code quality. This one I think you have to set up and doesn't always work or something. I don't know. One of these you don't do. And this is the one I really want, Copilot. But I'm out of usage until the end of the month, which is in a couple days. So I'll turn that off for now. Instead, you can add another tool here. I can add CodeRabbit AI. Same thing, errors and warnings. And I've configured CodeRabbit for this account. I haven't actually configured it for this repo directly, but it might be fine. We'll see. Might already be set up to just work with any directory. Get my password. Don't worry, that code expires in 3 seconds. Won't be enforced in this private repo. It's private. Dang it. It's like every other time I create a repo, I end up creating it private on accident. Yes, public. Yes, I understand. Yes, make this public. That's weird. Did it make me confirm? Did I at least put it in the right account? I did. Okay. So now the branch rule should be in effect. All right, looks like it. Cool. Let's set up Vercel. I think I already have this set up. But yeah, okay. New project. 5 pins. Imports. Simple as that. Is that Next.js? I didn't think we did Next.js. What is that symbol? Is it just other? Yeah, it's other. Okay. Deploy. And then I'll use the CLI to set up the upstash key value store probably. That's been working pretty well. So it's not actually deployed, but maybe I give it a second. Let's see. Oh, there's no game. What am I talking about? Okay, cool. So I'm going to kill this session, and I'm going to start a new one. And we're going to start spiraling. Oh, I didn't see your guys' chats for some reason. That was like 20 minutes ago. I accidentally closed my YouTube, and so I reopened it, and now I see the chat. So I must have been on like the wrong view. What's up, Iron Man Tony Stark? Hey, you were here the other day, right? Hey, bro, I'm not a chatbot. Why don't you create your own design style like boilerplate and add that to Claude so every time you vibe code a new app, Claude used your style so it won't feel like Claude UI, you know. I gotta work, gotta go, and you are going great. Don't give it up. Oh, thanks, man. Sorry I missed your chats earlier. That's sad. I'm not a chatbot. You're a clanker. No, it's a term of endearment. Okay. Yeah, that's a great idea for having some kind of design style that's like a default that's better than just a Claude one. Um, I'll have to think about that. I do like exploring new designs and seeing how the design just out of the box improve as well. But yeah, this was clearly, I don't know. You could just, I don't know if you guys have seen this kind of style, but this is the same thing that I got when I made my other kind of clicker game, RTS wannabe game called Epoch. You'll notice this, very similar. But this one I actually tuned a bit, added more effects and stuff, but it's still very much the same. It's like menu-based Vercel kind of deal. Not Vercel, Next.js. But yeah, that's not a bad idea. I should think about what my unique style should be. The one thing I did here is I changed everything to highlight in red because I love red, but that's not much of a style. Oh, you hear that? The audio on this is really bad, this Epoch. It just buzzes sometimes. All right, let's do this. Spiral HTML. And so last time it's like, hey, you don't have anything in this project. Let's initialize. And so that kind of took me down that path. Oh, shoot, I'm on the wrong branch. Get checkout main, get fetch, get poll. All right. There we go. And now we'll do spiral. So now it has stuff. It should follow the 18 steps or whatever the heck it does that we read at the beginning of the stream. So with no subcommands, since the repo already has the scaffold and it would refuse to run, the sensible action is audit. Let me run it. Okay. It's probably not what I wanted then, but that's fine. I can do an audit. Vibe pins repo fully conforms to canonical HTML for spiral scaffold. No remediation needed. All 9 audit checks pass, including the 3. That took 4%. Fuck. One trivial note, not a finding. There's a stray doc.js tracked and untracked in the tree. Want me to add it to get or yes. Git ignore. Probably need to do that by also updates doom skills to get ignore that by defaults. Also I had to tell Claude to add links in the index.html. Make sure spiral does that by default next time. Commit directly to main for skills and this repo. Okay. I think the command is like do slice, or I have to give it a command because it's not audit. So let me start a new session, and this time I'll say spiral. Does it actually say what the commands are? It does not. If I say spiral, do the next slice. Technically the first slice, but it doesn't know that. I'll start by reading the required context documents to understand again, 4%, or immediately 6%. So maybe this thing has a context bloater. Pick the next slice. Let me read the remaining context documents and check the repo state. Go look at this guy. He's looking at my skills. Hey, you. What you doing looking at my skills? Hey, you. Here we go. Dot command. So that's the thing that creates the tasks. Dots.html, whatever. In fact, this is the wrong command. Shouldn't you be using .html? I think I have both installed, but it's interesting that it's trying to use the markdown one. I really need to figure out if the HTML versus markdown thing is worth pursuing HTML or not. Ah, there is no HTML available. You have a .html skill command in mind that I should be using instead. I'll wait for you to name it. First slice has no code yet. Scope for it, project bootstrap. Yeah. You can find the skill here. Skills. Oh, it found it. Found it. Local bin.html. Let me learn its interface. Also, I have the regular markdown dots installed. So Claude used that over dots HTML. Fix spiral HTML to make sure it doesn't make this mistake again on the next project. Alright, so vibins repo, nothing to commit. DS start was already in git ignore and never tracked. Okay, cool. The audits mentioned was just an untracked but ignored file on disk, which is correct behavior. Skills repo, dev skills plugin, spiral committed and pushed directly to main. Two defaults baked into the scaffold, so future spiral HTML init runs get them automatically. Git ignore by default added. Hyperlink GDT index entries. The index template now uses real hrefs. Beautiful. See, making the tooling better as I go. All right, the dot is tracked. So what do our dots look like? I'll show you guys what dots looks like. Dots HTML. It's going to be like, that's not a command. Dots. I guess it's not globally scoped. That's annoying. Let's have work globally scope it. Now let's have codex. I haven't touched codex in a while. Yes, updates. No, it didn't update. There is an update. Codex update. Codex update. There we go. Shell init error shell. All right, what are you doing over here, buddy? So this is actually going to work. The core source, the central lane config and collision groups. Central turn. So this is a config source, so the actual source file. Central tunable configuration for vibe pins. Lane is a single source of truth for lane geometry, body sizes, mass, and camera framing. This is from requirement 25 in the GDD. Every system reads from here instead of hard-coding numbers, so the whole game can be retuned from one place. Love it. Makes sense. Coordinate system origin at the center of the foul line, plus X to the right, plus Y up, a lane running into minus Z toward the pin deck. Units are meters and kilograms. Values are duckpin scaled, first pass tunables. The playtest gates, question 10, and Section 8 of the GDD will tighten them. World 3D TS owns the Three.js renderer scene camera in the Rapier physics world, modeled on the sibling project Hoops World 3D. Adapted to Rapier GDD 6 reuse and tech. Scene and physics scaffolding. Rapier's compat build initializes its WASM asynchronously so that this module exposes an async create world 3D factory. Vibe pins entry point. This is main TS. Boots the 3D lane scene in the physics world, then runs a render loop, gameplay systems, ball, pins, controls, scoring layer onto the world 3D and later slices. Now a unit test for the config invariants. Rule 9, new pure logic needs test in the Vercel static deploy config. That's the framework doing its job. So we got a test for our config even. All right. This is some Vercel setup. Now install dependencies and run the verification suite. 2 type check errors to fix an unused field in the vitest configs. Type check clean, build succeeds, no M dashes, all verification is green. And then it updated the GDD coverage to say that, what did we do? We have got a test config now. All right, so that should start cross-referencing things. If we go look at, here we go, refresh that. So if we look at core loop maybe, build log, section drafted, no code yet. What did it just do then? Oh, reuse in tech maybe? Build log, project bootstrap landed, section drafted, no code yet. Ledger, where's my ledger? Let's go to just docs. There we go. Dependency ledger. So when to add a dependency to ledger and when. The dep is internally maintained. Sibling repo in-house package, internal dependency ship breaking, changes to project actively needs to adopt the dependency, a critical infrastructure framework, major Next.js, React, major runtime, major node, then a button security sensitive. Dependency has bitten this project before with an unexpected breakage at upgrade time. Do not add commodity dependencies whose major version cadence is slow, 1 upgrade per year or longer, and whose minor versions are rarely breaking. Those go through standard semver, range, lock file, churn, renovate, dependabot. The ledger is for dependencies the agent must consciously think about every time main moves. Okay, dependency ledger. Was that the ledger we were thinking of? Here's the coverage I was looking for. Ooh, that's not readable at all. Oh, because it's JSON. Pretty print. Atomic granularity only. Uh-oh, I'm gonna have to go. It is midnight and I need to sleep. All right, I just want to get one slice done. It opened the PR, right? Slice project bootstrap. All right, so I'll probably do the rest from my phone, but honestly, this is what it will look like. I will say do a slice, it will do that. I will follow the spiral commands, the workflow, update all those docs, do some small incremental add new game mechanics, whatever, and then I'll preview it in the PR, and if it looks good, I'll probably do a code rabbit run. So code rabbit's gonna run, it's gonna run some linting and stuff, and everything's good, it's gonna merge it. What did this actually do? First implementation slice, stand up the build toolchain and booting 3D lane scene. So every later gameplay system and foundation of the layer. Okay, so it didn't actually do anything other than the lane. So that looks correct. This is a 3D scene with a lane. It's very ugly, but maybe we'll reskin it. We'll come back to that. But yeah, once this is good, I will merge it, and then I will, again, just keep looping. So let's make sure this guy's good. Root cause, product HTML is the HTML variant impaired. Fixed HTML fork is now named explicitly in 4 places. Template to all remaining. Make sure everything is committed and pushed to main on this repo and this repo. All right, and the last thing I will do is I will run this from my phone. Oh wait, hold on. Code rabbit rate limited. Oh, okay, go ahead and merge. I'll review it later. But yeah, from here I can say run remote. I always forget what it's called. Remote control. And now it says remote control active, and so I can actually control this from my phone, so I don't have to use the cloud environment for my phone to continue. I can actually use my computer, but the cloud environment works pretty well as As well, it just doesn't have some of the like run the browser and run the game and check the logs itself, which is very handy. So I will probably do the next slice in this same session. I will switch branches. I think we'll do that automatically once I tell it to go do another feature. The base branch has a protection policy blocking the merge. Let me check what it requires. Oh, I'm missing something here. Code scanning. So maybe I do need to turn on code scanning. It's not like running right now, is it? So I told you there's always one thing that doesn't get set up, and it's always confusing. I think it might be code quality is the one I was thinking of. You have to actually enable it. But does that give you code QL? Yeah, it looks like it does. No code QL supported language to scan in this repository? How is that even possible? Are we not using TypeScript, guys? I guess it only works on JavaScript? That's crazy. Supported language. TypeScript. Yeah, it does TypeScript. I don't know what I was talking about. Admin override merge, yeah, for now. But also, why doesn't it have this? I need to get more CodeRabbit. It's expired. Or it runs, right now I think I'm on the plan where it runs once for free, once an hour, because it's an open source project. So I get one run per hour, but I've already reached my limit somehow. Oh, because it's my second PR. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I gotta just start paying for it. That's annoying. But all PRs should be merged. I'm gonna go check skills to make sure that got merged. Nope. Skills. Oh, no. Clicking wrong stuff. Here we go. Skills should have had a commit 8 minutes ago. Perfect. Is there open PR? Improve skill review. Oh, this is... Did I not close this? March 30th. Hey, I ran your skills. Didn't I close it? I'm pretty sure it seems cool. And then I closed. I could have swore I closed it. Okay, whatever. Closing it now. 50 commits 9 minutes ago, 11 minutes ago. 9. So get ignore and require hyperlink G to the index, and then this is the used HTML version of dots. Cool. Alrighty, well, on your screenshot, GitHub code quality preview. That page is the source of the merge block I hit. Enabling code quality preview. Install the repository ruleset main code scanning rule requiring results from two tools, CodeQL and CodeRabbit AI. A PR stays blocked until both report passes, regardless of CI being green. That's why the merge failed, even with the type check test build preview all green. CodeRabbit half couldn't run. CodeQL half. The page said node CodeQL supported language to scan. That should change now. The TypeScript is CodeQL supported, and the page itself says CodeQL does its first full scan once it detects a supported language. Okay, so I'll fix my CodeRabbit prescription. Subscription might as well be a prescription, right? Who doesn't need some quality reviews? But yeah, otherwise, I would say I want to clear. What I noticed is it didn't really do a randroid loop. Randroid loop is that other skill, and it will actually ask you, do you want to do each slice in a new context? Something to look into next time. But I should be able to just say spiral-HTML, spiral-HTML, do the next slice, and then, yeah, the process repeats. And obviously, there will be more decisions to make, there will be more testing, there will be more getting feedback from you guys and making the game fun, but generally this is the Rails, and it'll be more fun once there's actually something to play. But that's it for now. I'm going to call it. I will try to show you guys the fruit of Claude's labor maybe tomorrow if it's got something to show by then. But otherwise, whenever I get time, I'll check in. So thank you guys for checking out Opus 4.8 with me today. So far, I haven't noticed any major differences, but also it just worked, which is kind of magic, and don't want to take that for granted. So check it out. Let me know how you guys are liking it, and I'll catch you next time. Clankers. Yeah, clankers. Yeah, clankers.